Okay, so this is the age problem. This is typically how they're set up. And it's called the age problem because we have a problem involving ages and in terms of years. So in this problem, we're given Frank is 5 years older than George. The sum of their ages is 59. How old is each person? So we need to find both of their ages. Let's do the 4-step method. As usual, we're going to start with our let statements. Now, I believe I used the letters X and Y in the previous video, and I know those are very common letters to use, but I'm going to switch it up just to show you that it doesn't really matter what letters you use. So let's say George is M years old. Now usually the variable you use when you're choosing it, you might want to choose something that represents it a little better. So M doesn't really have much connection with George. If you wrote G, that would be a little better because George has a G, but I'm just trying to show you that any letter really works. It doesn't really matter what letter you choose. The math is still the same. But that's just a little tip. If you find yourself getting confused, maybe you can use G and F because those are more intuitive. But feel free to choose any letters you want. There is nothing wrong with that. Let's say Frank is N years old. And we can quickly write out an equation involving the sum of their ages because we know M plus N equals 59. Now this doesn't seem like enough information to solve the problem because we have 2 variables and only 1 equation. Until we remember that we haven't used some information. We haven't used the first part. We know Frank is 5 years older than George. If Frank is 5 years older, that means his age, N, can be represented as George's age plus 5 years added to it. And now we see we can take this and substitute into N in the first equation. So wherever we see an N, we will now replace with M plus 5. Do you see how this works? We can combine the variables to M, constants on the other side, and then in the end we'll find that M equals 27. Then we can take this value of M that we found and put it into this first equation, or even better, we can take this value of M and put it into this equation, because then we'll get N very quickly, because N is just 27 plus 5, which is 32. So pay special attention how we went from M and N to just M's, using this handy fact that N can be represented as M plus 5. And now we do a check. 27 plus 32 is 59. So that works. M stands for George and N stands for Frank. 32 is 5 greater than 27. That translates to Frank is 5 years older than George. Yes, that also checks out. Now, we know we have the correct numbers, so let's just write out our final answer nicely. The question asks, how old is each person? So therefore, we can say M stands for George. So we know George is 27 years old. And Frank is 32 years old. And we are finished. So that's how you solve the age problem using our 4-step method. I hope you see how similar it was to the numbers problem, the first word problem that we did, because it's the exact same process. Now that you know how to solve the age problem, let's teach you how to solve the animals problem.